Hey guys, welcome to Fleetwood Patch. It's been a while since I've been out in the garden doing a tour with you guys. It's just been so busy with work and everything else. But here's kind of the synopsis, guys. It has been hot, and I'm talking 90 degrees every day for probably the past month and a half. And we've had very, very little rain. I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 decent rains. Like I said, month and a half, 90 plus degrees. That takes its toll on the garden, but it's holding up strong. One good thing when you start getting up to about that hot, limes are actually starting to appear on this tree, which has never happened before. I don't know if you can see the other one there, but we're starting to get limes. I am happy about that. We've been waiting for this thing to produce for a while, and lo and behold, we took it outside, 90 plus degrees, and look what happened. As we move over here to the onion bed, they are pretty much, I think, ready. Now you might see some little stems starting to stick up here. What is that, Jeremy? Well, I will tell you. A good friend of mine, Phil, who also has his own channel on Facebook, not really channel, but a page on Facebook called Our Garden. He gave me some Egyptian walking onions, and I've been wanting to plant those for years. Always was curious about them, so got a nice little tour of his garden and decided to plant them in here. I think I'm going to make this kind of the permanent home of Onionville. You cool with that, Groot? Tomatoes, well, what can I say? They exploded this year. This is the first year I've really grown Amish paste tomatoes. Guys, I had no clue just how tall these things got. This vine actually is about 6.5 feet tall when you stand it up, but the stakes aren't that tall, so it kind of fell off. I'm just kind of letting it do its thing here, but I wanted to show you I got one of the biggest tomatoes I think I've had ever grown, and I'll bring it around here to show you. But this guy right here is about the size of a mini softball. By far the biggest tomato I've ever grown, and it hasn't even changed yet. So tomatoes have done really, really well. I think we're getting closer to that time of year where, you know, it's going to start to cool off even more. So I'm gonna have to come out here and trim all these leaves off, all this foliage. It's pretty much what we have now is what we're gonna have. I don't think anything else is gonna grow and develop and mature at this point. So best thing to do is to clip these leaves off and put those tomatoes in the sun and just let them ripen as best they can before it gets too cold. Oh man, Jeremy, what'd you do back there? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you. I ended up getting a blackberry bush. Now, after talking it over, we kind of decided that we're going to go kind of hardcore, even more so next year. And we want to do perennial berry bushes. And I'm talking bunches of them. So next year, you'll probably see things like gooseberries, blackberries, raspberries. You can see our raspberries are starting to produce as well. But we really want to do more fruits out here. And they're perennial, you know, they come back every single year. So why not? I'm very much looking forward to really just going at it, just getting this fruit in here, coming back year after year after year. And I feel like there's room in here to do this stuff. There's actually a lot of bare spots that I didn't anticipate. This thing is just nothing more than a decorative grass, and guess what? It is coming out, because right now it's blocking a lot of potential really good plants and fruit bushes that we could put in here. So it's going bye-bye after this year. Why? So we can make room for more of these guys. And the decorative kale and mint that's in here, I just let this go. I let it go till it starts to get cold and frosty. And I pretty much feed it to the chickens because I gotta admit, guys, I'm not a huge kale guy, but the chickens love it, and it's good to feed them whatever greens we can. I cannot believe how ridiculously huge this spearmint has become. We'll definitely have spearmint tea this year. Now, guys, we did actually finish up the pumpkins and pick them all off, and I apologize, I did not do a video on it, but it's basically sugar pie pumpkins that we did. So you can tell the vines are starting to get yellow regardless of how much water we put on it. They're done for the season. And back here you'll see the green spot of leaves. Well, that is the honey nut, not butternut, honey nut squash. And that's still going. That should be ripening up very soon. In fact, it is starting to yellow up just a little bit. I think within the next couple weeks, we'll actually be able to harvest this. The corn back there, I really don't think it's going to make it. I think I planted it too late, but you know what? We'll give it a try and see. I think it was more just for decorative purposes. This whole area is going to change next year. I think next year we're going to make this kind of a sunflower haven. So a lot of the sunflower mixes that we have, I think we're just going to do it all back here and just do a massive sunflower garden. Why not? Yeah, you can see here there's still some that are left of these tomatoes that haven't ripened yet. Like I said, I'm just going to trim all the leaves off. You can see them starting to get brown anyway, so not exactly the healthiest plant at this point, but hey, we're in September. Right now in Colorado, we're on borrowed time. Even though it's 90 plus degrees, I guarantee you when it starts getting colder, it's going to happen in a heartbeat. It's amazing just how quick the weather changes here. Now the glass gem corn, we were wondering if it was done or not, just because it's still pretty green, and I thought this actually took a lot longer to grow and to produce. But I gotta tell you guys, I actually cheated and took one of them off. We said we were gonna wait. I'm like a kid on Christmas, you know, I can't wait for that. I gotta still take a sneak peek. So let me show you what I got out of that. So what are some of the biggest things that I learned and kind of took away from this year? Well, first off, those months in the wintertime of really building that soil, getting the chicken manure in there, and really trying to make it as fertile as possible with no chemicals, that definitely worked. I cannot recall ever having a garden this lush this late in the season, and really did not use a lot of fertilizers on this, guys. I think we did worm tea and fish emulsion, but we only did that once every other week. So really there wasn't a lot of fertilization going on, and pretty much by the time August hit, I stopped. And it was still taking off on its own. So that tells me that what we did in the wintertime was very crucial. And you know, you hear me say it a lot of times, but that is probably one of the biggest key factors when you're growing a garden, is you got to make sure that your soil is just prime, plush, ready to go. And it definitely worked. I'm happy about that. Now the tea garden this year, it did take off pretty well, and we did get the flowers that we planted in there. They I'd say 90% of them survived and did just fine. I still feel like there's a lot of room in there that was kind of wasted. So we're going to really take a good hard look at what we need to do in there for next year, because we really want that thing just to be popping and just blooming with a bunch of different flowers, berry bushes, just whatever we can to get pollinators in there. Speaking of pollinators, guys, we did a thing. Come on into the garage and I'm going to show you what we got. So can you guess what this is? You got it. We got a bee hive. And I mean, we got everything that needs to go with it, as far as the suit, the tools, the honeycombs, everything. And we got it at a screaming, and I mean absolutely screaming deal. So my daughter, believe it or not, is taking a class in high school on beekeeping. Who'd have thought, right? I mean, gosh, I can't believe what they can teach now in these high schools. I wish I knew this back then, but yeah, they're teaching them how to do beekeeping. So I think her mother and her are going to make this their project next year. And yes, guys, we are getting pollinators in the backyard next year. And here's kind of some more leftover onions that we ended up harvesting. And yeah, I just kind of keep them out in the garage in an area that's a little cooler, dark, and just kind of let them cure for a while. But yeah, use all this stuff, definitely. We did a potato leek soup with some of these onions in it. The potatoes were from the garden. The leeks were from somebody else's garden, but it was still homegrown. And the onions, and oh my gosh, this is a good time of year, guys. This is when you start really making some really decent food. So happy these girls are starting to lay. I'm talking all of them. Even the cream leg bar. She did her first egg yesterday, as a matter of fact, is what we found. More eggs, more eggs. So every year in a garden, you're evolving. Everything's changing every year, constantly. We started off with one one raised bed, and we did a couple zucchinis, did some pumpkins in there. We got hooked, expanded. Year after that, expanded. Year after that, expanded. So it's really evolved into something that's just a really beautiful creation. That's kind of how you got to look at your garden too when you're planning it out. You know, it's going to start off probably a little small, and I encourage you to do it a little small. Take on what you can. You know, it's something new that you're just getting introduced to. And when you start to feel a little more comfortable, venture out, see what else you can do with it. We're really gonna up our game next year. Now I say that every single year, but I really do mean that this year, because we're gonna be doing, like I said, so many perennial fruits around. I can't believe we've never done that before. Vegetables are great and I love them, but oh my gosh, to have things like blackberries sitting out there ready to pick, raspberries ready to pick, gooseberries ready to pick. If you've never had a gooseberry, you are not living. I'm telling you, do a gooseberry. They are great. Can't wait to get at least a couple of those out there. We want to do red currants. We really want to kind of expand. And, you know, it's amazing when you're around other people that are into this and this is their passion. You kind of look at their backyard, which is basically what happened with us. A friend of mine, Phil, we went to his house and kind of looked at his backyard. He's got stuff all over, and a lot of it was berry bushes. And we really kind of sat down and went, you know, we're really missing the boat here by not having that stuff
So we're gonna kind of take a page out of his book, and we're gonna go for it with those bushes. I want to do rhubarb. I want to do strawberries. Yeah, but that's the fun part about when you're gardening. Even in the peak of the season, you already have the garden planned out for next year. So, but we're excited and we're happy, so blessed with what we got this year. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I know I haven't been on here very often, but trust me, when I do, we're going to try to make it something that's worth your while. And we're going to can tomatoes, I think, the next video, and start doing some food prep, getting stuff ready for the winter and for the fall coming up, which is probably the most beautiful time of year. And we're really looking forward to it. So until next time, guys, this is Jeremy with Fleetwood Patch saying, you got this. Take care, guys.